Hi folks, it's Al from the Psych Collective. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk today about how you can get some sleep. The thing with sleep, the most common reason people can't sleep is because they've got too much cycle, can't sleep. Unfortunately, it's not like we get to bed and think very logically through our thoughts and come up with a kind of great scheme about how we're going to deal with things. No, what tends to happen is the thoughts are a bit like a storm cloud. Okay, so you'll have this sort of cloud of thoughts here, and you'll kind of be all over the place with those thoughts. You won't really get anywhere with them. You'll just sort of spin your wheels. Nothing will advance. But it might remind you of this other issue that you've got over here, and next thing you know, you're spinning your wheels over on this storm cloud of thoughts as well, and then you might even go over to another one, and some people might have a dozen that they spin their wheels on. They don't really get anywhere, okay? And tomorrow night's going to look much the same. So what's going on there is these storm clouds of thought, they're clues to what you need to do to deal with your arousal. So we need to kind of unpack that a bit. So what do? Essentially, when that's coming up, you could do this once you go to bed, or even better, before you go to bed. Just sort of sit down somewhere quiet with some paper and actually start to examine these thoughts. So what's coming up for you? I'd actually invite you to start journaling out your problem, okay? So we want to think about what is the first issue that comes to mind. So it might be a relationship problem, or it could be some legal thing, whatever it is, okay? It could be anything. And I just want you to kind of write, okay? Write and write and write. Get it all, dump it all out of your head, okay? You're awake anyway, you must well do something about it, right? So dump it out of your head, sort of vomit it all onto the page. It doesn't need to be neat. No punctuation, no spelling, doesn't matter. Just get it down, okay? Once you've got it down, it might be a few lines, it might be a page, might be a book, whatever it is, it's down. Then what I want you to do is actually want you to kind of look at it, and I want you to try and summarize that whole page in a line or two, okay? I want you to crystallize the issue in a line. Okie dokes. If you do nothing else, that's worth your while. Okay, and the reason is now whenever this sort of storm cloud of thoughts arises, instead of kind of getting lost in it, you can go, I'm thinking about issue X, okay, boom. So you're not stirring yourself up for ages, you just get straight to the point, all right. Now what I would invite you to do at this point, okay, now that you've crystallized the issue, all right, if you want to do a bit more and actually kind of do something with it, I'd invite you to look at the issue and decide, is it something that's actually solvable or not, okay? This matters, okay? So I want you to make a declaration. A declaration. So the declaration might be unsolvable. So it might be something like, oh geez, I wish I told my great-grandmother I loved her before she died. It's probably actually something you can do about that, but for argument's sake, it's unsolvable, okay? So now if this issue comes up, okay, you've seen in black and white. All right, so great grandma didn't tell love. Okie dokes. You've seen it here in black and white. So now when the issue comes up, instead of waffling around, that's the I didn't tell my great grandmother I loved her issue, okay? That issue's unsolvable. And there's nothing else that you can do with that, all right? So what will tend to happen is your mind will just give that one the flick, but you'll have another one to get to, right? So then you'll go on to the next one. And whenever this one comes up on subsequent nights, what you'll find, it'll come up less and less frequently because it's kind of dealt with. You've declared it as unsolvable, all right? You've seen that in black and white, all right? There's nothing else to be done. And it's like your subconscious can now rest on that matter, all right? So the unsolvable ones are, in a sense, the easy ones, okay? I mean, not always the case, right? I don't want to kind of oversimplify things, but generally speaking, unsolvable ones, there's less work to do in most situations. But then we've got the solvable ones, so we need to do something with these. Okie dokie. So, what's the issue here? The issue is, I don't know, say it's a relationship issue. Say, I don't know, say you're having some friction in your marriage or something, okay? So the issue is, I don't know, I'm feeling unheard in my relationship. Okay, so that's pretty concise. You know, it might have taken you a page or two of, you know, thinking about what's going on, and you've crystallized it to I'm feeling unheard in my relationship. Okay, now we need to make the declaration about this. Is this potentially solvable or is this unsolvable? Well, hopefully it's not unsolvable, okay? So let's go with the potentially solvable. Potentially solvable. Okay, great. What are we going to do now? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Are we going to sort this out right now? Probably not, okay? So the big issues usually have got about 100 or 1,000 steps, okay? You're not going to do that tonight, okay? What can you do tonight? Tonight, you can just decide what is the single next action that needs to be taken on this issue. Okay, and the next action, that might be to seek advice from someone. So the next action might be, I need to talk to my psychologist, or I need to talk to a friend, or it might be going direct. I need to talk to my wife about this issue. It's not the solution, it's just the next step, okay? And then you need to decide when you're going to do this as well. Okay, and you need to be very precise about this, okay? I'm going to do it. Okay, can't do it this day, she's at sport. I can't do it that day, I'm at sport. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I can definitely do it on Friday. When on Friday? Okay, next Friday at 7 p.m. That's when I can do it. Right, put it in your calendar, put it in your diary. Make sure it can happen. And it's important to have this time parameter locked in just so your mind can rest on the issue. So, next action. So it might be talk to X, hopefully not your ex. When, and you set the date. Okie dokes. All right, so now we try and go to sleep, okay? The issue comes up, we can go, oh, this is the I'm feeling unheard in my relationship issue. It's a potentially solvable issue. I'm going to talk to such and such on this date. And that's all we can do tonight on it. So if the thought comes up, you can just go through this, you can remind yourself of what you decided to do with this process. Now, some people will say, well, hang on, if this person says blah, then I'll do this. And if this person says blah, then I'll do that. Okay, all these you don't know what they're going to say. Okay, chances are it's not going to be what you expect, otherwise it wouldn't be such a kind of calamity in your mind. Okay, so wasting your time on false contingencies is just that. So you need to say to yourself, if that happens, this is a waste of my thought. Okay, let's just stick to the next action and the date. All right, what should happen then is that sort of problem moves to the side, and maybe the next one comes up and you deal with that. What I've drawn out here, we've got sort of operationalized in this worksheet here. So there's a nice little, beautifully formatted by Jess worksheet. And on the back, it takes you through these steps. Now, it might transpire that the first night you do this, you've got a dozen of these, okay? And you think, oh my God, that's a lot. But guess what? You've got a dozen of these in your head anyway. But the difference is it's chaos in here, all right? Now you've got it all laid out. You've got 12 worksheets. You actually know what your stuff is, all right? And what's more, you've got a plan. You've got a next action for everything, or you've declared it unsolvable, all right? So now what's happened is what? There's less chaos, okay? With that comes less arousal. You've got a plan, less arousal. What happens next? Hopefully, what we've done here is we've now decreased our arousal to a point where we can sleep. And that, folks, is why you do it. You're awake anyway. Get it done. Thanks, guys.